outmatched by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Ewan in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Hay deals with Mugello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Hello everybody and welcome to the OGRL Coffee Cup once again. It's time for round 3 after a bit of a truncated start to the season. We had one round a week off and then another round. It's time for the back-to-back weeks now, starting with the second of those, Mugello. This is going to take us to the halfway point in the terms of the 6 races we've got in front of us so far, and it leaves us with a very interesting situation indeed, with a couple of great races from David Van Rooij to give himself a bit of a runaway lead at the very front. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, alongside James Parfitt here for this broadcast once again, taking you to halfway. It's good to be back in this series again here, James, and good to be back in this early time in the day for a lot of people in the Coffee Cup. But it's been an interesting season so far with a couple of very different circuits, I think it's fair to say. As I say, David Van Rooij has done very well so far in terms of those championship points. 124, which indicates 2 race wins, and he'll be looking to increase that to 3 wins today as well.
Yeah, it's been very, very interesting, isn't it? You know, we open the season up with Detroit, and then we give them a week off, and then we go to Spa, and then we come to a very different track in Mugello. You know, it's going to be a tough circuit for some. There is no doubt about that, and it's flowing, it's very fast. There isn't really sort of many stops as hairpins as what we would class as a hairpin. But I think these guys should be able to manage it. They should be okay. You know, we've got, what do we got, nearly 41 drivers here tonight, and I think it's going to be very, very exciting. That rundown from the last Buccini corner all the way down into turn 1, I think that's probably going to be the main kind of overtaking position that they're going to want to get done, because once you start getting through that, it gets very, very tricky. So this could be a very, very exciting one, Mr. O'Leary. I'm looking forward to this.
Let's see how it goes. We're just in the practice session at the moment, and then we'll be into qualifying shortly, where everyone will have a few laps to get a time on the board, and then we will be into the race. I can give you the top 3 of each of the championship standings so far. I can't give you the overall as things stand, but in terms of each of the categories, David Van Rooij is leading ahead of Josh Herron by 3 points. Sean Riley is only 5 points behind, so it's actually quite close compared to what I thought it would be like, considering Van Rooij has won both of the races so far this season. In Pro-Am, Quentin Price is leading the way by 1 point, ahead of Brian Hodgkins and Bradley Tidwell, who are both only a point behind. And then in Am, we've got James Sawyer in first, actually tied on points with the leader in Pro-Am, which shows you how well he's done so far. But Gary Spencer's only 8 points behind. Mike Elliott is only 10 points behind. So for all the talk we were having about the great performance of James Sawyer last time out, and the great driving that he did, he's not exactly running away with the AM Championship, and there's plenty of drivers who are able to keep up with him. Yeah,
none of the championships are sort of massive gaps, are they? You know, when we look at Sean Riley in 119 to Van Rooij on a 124, that's 5 points. Pro-Ams is a lot closer. There's only 1 between them. 8 points between the AMs as well. So there's still a lot more to come from this championship within the first 6 weeks, you know, and it's going to be very, very exciting. And I think these guys have just got to realise that there's very different tracks compared to what they would possibly be used to. You know, we've got Mugello, we've got Zandvoort next week, then we've got Interlagos, which is just absolutely incredible. And then we're finishing off at Mazzano. So a good mix of circuits, very, how can I put it, sort of European based generally, apart from Interlagos and Detroit, of course. But they're all very, very different. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people who's going to need to get some practice in. They're going to be, you know, needing to go out and make sure that they get their laps in, because they are going to be different. It's going to be, I think this could be a great season this first 6 weeks.
Absolutely. This next qualifying session, by the way, could be one of the most important that we do in this series as well. We've got Zandvoort coming up next week, which I suppose it would be equally important round there, but I think it's a very important 3 laps coming up here. Drivers have been, we think, afforded an extra 5 minutes compared to what they were before to do their 3 laps. They don't get any extra laps, but if there was any other place where they could have done with the extra laps, it would have been Spa last time out, but none of the others. Unless we're misremembering, and they did have 15 minutes last week. I don't think so.
No, I don't either. I think I don't know. As I say, maybe we're just misremembering. We do quite a lot during the week, Mr. O'Leary, so if people can forgive us for misremembering some things, that would be amazing, because obviously, you know, we do quite a lot during the week, dear sir.
Yeah, quite a lot of misremembering stuff.
Well, Well, yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it. You know what I mean? I'm protecting us, and you just go and drop us under the, put us in there. Yeah. Well done, mate. Cheers for that.
Yeah. It's just quite a lot of forgetting stuff, really. Although I'm only speaking for myself now, I do quite a lot of that. Anyway, over the line for the top drivers then, and you'll see them rip through the bottom of your screen very quickly here. There won't be very big gaps between the drivers as they make their way around. There's David Van Roy. You just caught a glimpse of him there in the Ford Mustang. He will be looking for 3 in a row here. I mean, as I said before, I expected his championship lead to be bigger after those first 2 rounds because he took 2 race wins, but there's no points incentive to actually win, other than the fact that obviously you've got to win, and that's an incentive enough for any driver, even if there are no points on the line for it. But it is not incentivised by an increased amount of points gap in terms of first and second. It's 1 point per position in the entire field. Now, when this gets to the late championship and we're working out the maths, that's going to be we're going to be very thankful for that. But for the moment, David Van Roy won't be too thankful for it, because all of his hard work so far, including a very hard fight back last week at Spa, has resulted in only a 3-point championship lead.
Yeah, but I think they can't really, let's be real, as the saying goes, they can't really moan about it, because obviously that's what it was when the rules came out. 61 for the win, and then 60, 59, and all the way down to 60th position. So at the end of the day, they kind of knew this. So I think, look, it makes it interesting for us, right? And let's be real about it, Mr. O'Leary. There are series that me and you have done where we've had to try and do maths, and it's never always worked out so well. So I'm thankful that this is nice and straightforward, and I'm thankful that it's just 61, 60 all the way down. So, yeah, you know, I don't want to be here struggling to do maths later on in the series.
I think I'm all right at maths. But,
if I've got my shoes and socks off, I can count to 20. I'm fine.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully we don't need to go above that. Over the line for Van Roy in the Ford Mustang, which has made quite a splash in the world of iRacing. Over the line, he does set the pace, but Herrin immediately goes quicker in the Porsche. It's going to be a fascinating battle between those 2 manufacturers. Speaking of manufacturers, 5 of them have set times the first 5 times in the field. Not many going up on the board. This is one of those old school circuits, though, where a dip of the wheel on the grass or the gravel, which is lining this circuit all around, will give you an off track, and you won't be able to have that time on the board. So very important to stay within the track limits here in this qualifying session. Yeah,
they're all getting their sort of banker laps in there as well. John Williams, you can see in the Pro-Am sitting in 4th overall. George, of course, sitting in 5th. Gibbons, Mark Bolton, very Pro-Am heavy, top 12. You can see that on the left-hand side. Jeremy Chaney, there's quite a few pros, don't get me wrong, that are still to come, but there's also quite a few of them that have got an off track at the moment. So they're going to have to just sort of be aware. You need, I think, you need to get a lap. Get that lap in, and then build on what you've done. And if you get what I mean, you want to make sure that you can get a lap under your belt before you can start really pushing. And there is literally nearly half the field that have not got laps in here. So they're going to have to really sort of knuckle down, get a lap, and then push and build on your next one.
Yeah, I agree, but if your first lap goes wrong, then you suddenly start to panic and things could start to go a little bit wrong for you. A good morning to Justin Cock, who's in YouTube chat again. He says it's a great day for GT3 racing. There are not many days that aren't, so fair enough. But that is how he's feeling this morning. He hasn't been out on the circuit yet, by the way. We'll see him hopefully at some point in this qualifying session. Sir Dryden hoping for a Parfitt top 3 tonight. I'm sure tonight. Unless he's over in Asia. I don't...
no, he's upstairs in the house.
Okay, yeah, exactly. It's this afternoon, hate to point it out. But that is George Parfitt, of course, referring to looking for a top 3, I presume in Pro-Am, which is going to be the main aim, I suppose, for him. And Dorinda Chatham cheering on Price again. Good luck, everyone, she says. So a big thanks to everyone who has tuned in today for what should be a fantastic round of the championship. Winter Price, that is, before I fool anybody. So 8.5 minutes of this qualifying session to go. Most of, if not all, well, all of the main contenders, I'll say, are on their final attempts at the moment. Sean Riley currently leads, ahead of David Van Roy, then Joseph Herring. But look at the margins, 13 thousandths of a second covering the top three in the pro standings.
Yeah, they're going to be running away with it, I think, as well. They're going to be doing a great job. The thing is, it's so unpredictable. Look at Spa. It's so unpredictable. And I would love to say that Riley, Dion, Purser, Van Roy and Herring are going to run away with it. But yet, they might end up coming back together. So there's a lot of things that can happen here. And I you know, nobody's running away with it as if to say, I'm going to go and win, because we've seen it last week. And they might not, so we'll see what happens. JK's in the YouTube chat, having PC issues right now. iRacing won't load. Hopefully I can get it sorted out. The easiest thing for me, JK, control, alt and delete, and everything that's iRacing, and then register again for the session. That's the easiest way on that one. I find if it crashes and you don't control, alt and delete it and task manager it all down, it will not let you back in. It keeps saying the sim is already running. So control, alt and delete, close it all down, and then reopen iRacing again on that one. So, you know, some healthy tips there.
Yeah, JPB advice, indeed, as well.
Hey,
not just broadcasting.
Yep, that worked. See? Thank you very much.
Oh, well, there you go. On his way back in.
On his way, yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Hopefully in time for at least a lap in qualifying, because he's one of two Pro-Ams not to have a time on the board at the moment. Next coming up towards the line is Bradley Tidwell in 4th place in Pro-Am. He's one of the Lamborghinis, currently only a point off Quentin Price in that championship lead in Pro-Am. It's so close in Pro-Am because of two enthralling races that we've seen so far in that category, and it's not really given us a clear picture as to who might win this championship, but that's exactly what we want as spectators. Tidwell goes over the line. That's not going to be an improvement, is it? Not that far away, but it's 4th. And so he stays there. Stuart Gibbons, we caught a brief glimpse of his Corvette a few moments ago. He's in 6th place at the moment and looking to improve up towards the line. And will that be an improvement for him, just as he did on his second lap here?
No.
He does not improve and will be 6th place for him. Brian Hoskins over the line as well. He's up there in terms of the championship lead, by the way. He didn't get a time in on that first time round because of an off track. That time round he has got a time in, but he's only in 12th place. Not good news for a driver tied second in the Pro-Am standings.
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's still people who haven't got time. Obviously with Justin, we know he's in YouTube chat. Ben Groves, Cole Modric, Bradley Lovins and Heath Ollingers have not got times yet. We've got John Williams leading the Pro-Ams. He's right the way mixing it up in 4th. Sean Riley taking it in the pros. And JT Sawyer has just gone down to 21st, but he's still leading the AMs in 21st position. So very, very close. A mixture of pro and AMs within the top 20, and we'll show you that now on the left-hand side. The top 20 is kind of really, really mixed up, and I think it could be quite interesting to see if the pros are not faster than the pro-ams that are in front of them, how they're going to get past, because there's no obligation for the pro-am to jump out the way, as Bradley Lovins just put himself up in 9th place there. You know, there's no obligation for the pro-ams to move. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how that one worked.
Joey Mines in the AM standings at the moment is 5th place in the Porsche, and one of those drivers who's looking to improve. Bradley Tidwell can't anymore because he has completed his allotment of lap times and didn't improve on that very final one. Joey Mains has, though. He moves up to 29th overall, but moves up to 4th place in class. So still plenty of drivers to be watching here, including Cole Modric, who's on your screen at the moment, down in 17th. But he is a pro driver. He is 9th in that class, pro class. By the way, one of his rivals, Philip de Cruz in pro, is all the way down in 36th. So that's not a good start for him at all. That's a lot of progress to be made. I mean, if this is ever a if there's ever a circuit you don't want a bad qualifying, it is this one. You are going to find it very, very tricky to move through the field, even if they are in a slower class to you.
Yeah, it is going to be something that they're going to have to master. The likes of Hoskins, Philippe de la Cruz, Justin obviously coming through, is going to be coming through the field. Even Kenneth Clodin is another one that's going to be out of position as such, in mixing it up with the AMs. Got Cole Modric, he's got greens on the board at the moment. I'll be interested to see where he puts that Corvette, as it's going to come down to the run down to the line. Stay all the way to the left-hand side as you're looking at the screen here, because it will be very interesting to see what he gets coming over the line. We've also got Bradley Lovins literally coming over the line at the same time. Modric goes to 16th, Lovins goes to 4th. So
much better.
Yeah, much better from Bradley Lovins there. And Joey Mines, Mines there, he is coming to the end of his 3 laps. Cole Modric has got 1 more, and so is Bradley Lovins, and they're literally at the same part of the circuit.
A little bit of a, it looks a bit like the late 90s Porsche Tribute livery they ran in at Le Mans a few years ago, this car, or was it somewhere else? Can't remember, but certainly a late 90s looking Porsche, as Joey Mines goes over the line and stays in 29th. Bradley Lovins going quick again. He set purple first sector on his previous lap as well, but the middle sector wasn't as good. Can he get this middle sector down together and get in amongst those front 3? I think he will be able to stay with them at the front of this race, and to be honest, I was surprised he didn't manage it off of his first lap, but he has managed it during his seconds. Now what's the time going to be as he makes his way through the second sector line? I don't actually know where it is. It's
literally just
later,
about now.
It's just after this.
Yeah,
it's just after this corner. So what will the time be? It's a personal improvement. Don't think this is going to be pole, but he might be right up there with those front 3.
Oh, I reckon if he can get a good run round this final part, Mr. O'Leary, I think he's on a great shot of being on pole position here. I really do, because I think that purple's going to add to that green that he's already got as well. The offset, you don't get a purple unless you're a quicker overall, and he's on a 38.7, which is literally
wide, very wide. That might have thrown it all away there. As much as he might have been improving or whatever, that might have been the end of it, because it is a banked and steep downhill at the end, but you do lose a lot of time if you go wide. And he's missed out by less than a tenth, I think, or is it a bit more? It might be a bit more than a tenth actually, but it's a very close margin. It is indeed just more than a tenth of a second, but it may have been lost in that final corner. He went so wide, and you can gain some of that back because it's so steeply downhill afterwards, and your run doesn't get totally ruined. But if you miss the apex at any corner, you're losing time, and he's not missed out on pole there by much.
No, he's only, is he barely a tenth away? There's no difference to a nose hair in length, is it? Let's be real about it. You know what I mean? I think these top 4 on this pro fight with Riley, Van Roy, Heron and Lovins is going to be very, very interesting. They've then got 6 tenths to Jonathan Williams in the Pro-Ams before they even hit Michael Dione, who's down in 6th place. So I think that top 4, if they can get away, great, but if they fight and mix it up with each other and start tripping over each other, which we had seen in Spa, then I think they could end up mixing it up with the pack. But at the moment, judging by their pace, I would literally say that they were going to escape and get away here. But the grid will be on your screen very, very shortly.
Not a warm-up session? It's warm-up first.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yep.
I did that last week, and you've done it this week.
Yes.
So I'm quite pleased about that.
Oh, dear. All right, well, we'll sit here for another 5 minutes then. But, you know, I just think overall that it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these guys are going to cope with it and see what goes on.
Let's see, we're, say, 5 minutes away from working it out and getting that 55-minute race underway. Gives them a little bit of wiggle room in terms of fuel, of course. How will they approach that over the course of the race? Is it going to be one of those? Because the reason why I mentioned this, I did a GT3 race around. I did one. I commentated one. Sorry, a GT3 race around this circuit. Admittedly, it had probably half-size field compared to this, and I would say maybe the back end of the field was probably slower than the back end here. But you know, the front end of that field was probably similar to this. And what was very interesting to me was drivers who had sort of qualified out of position, maybe a bit further down than where you'd expect to see them, getting stuck in traffic and thinking, right, I'm going to pit early, get into some clean air, and then come out in a better position afterwards. That did happen for the series leader in that championship I did a couple of days ago. They were able to gain a place or two and move through the field. Now, that might not be such a viable strategy here today because there are 41 cars on this grid as opposed to, I think there were 19 the other day. But nevertheless, if you can find yourself a bit of clean air after being stuck in traffic, you might be able to find some joy and you might be able to gain a couple of places if indeed you get it right. That's what's going to be very interesting to me because there's no restriction, there is restriction on fuel. There's a slightly less than an hour-long race here, and that means effectively that there's a very large and wide pit window. Any time really from 40 minutes to go, probably a little bit less, and you can come in and make it to the end on fuel. So there's a very wide range of options available to these guys if they want to try and jump through the order, and they're struggling to do so the old-fashioned way on the circuit.
Yeah, they're going to have to use... I think if they get stuck in traffic, they're going to have to look at trying to pit to get out, right? Because you're not gaining anything from anyone who is sat there and they're just following each other around. You're not going anywhere. So think different. Think about going for the undercut. Think about trying to do something different to see if you can move places up. Because there's no point sitting in a traffic jam, right, when there's a turn-off just to the left. You know, come on, let's be real.
Sent a message in from Ryan Merrim in the YouTube chat. Says hello and says that he's been sad to miss these last 2 weeks, but he's getting back to it next week. And he's even offered his support to I'll get his first name, Jeremy Cheney. He's just put J.
Yeah.
Jeremy Cheney in the YouTube chat as well. So he's got the support of Ryan Merriam. Of course, it would be great to have Ryan back next week because what a show he put on with David Van Roy at Belle Isle a few weeks ago. I mean, that was fantastic. It's still available, of course, on the JPB YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch after this one, of course, after this round of the Coffee Cup. It was a remarkable finish. For a circuit where there's very little overtaking, it was a very dramatic and tense end to the first round of this championship.
Yeah, it was. And Detroit was interesting, wasn't it? I think it was the first race of the season, and everybody got a little bit excited, and there was a few wall bangs going on there, you know, and it was okay. It was okay as a season opener, but I think as this more goes on, I'm expecting more and more great racing as it happens, because obviously your nerves have settled. There was a lot of new drivers, so they're now settling down into the mix, and they're saying, okay, we've got round 2 out the way as well. We're now going into round 3. I've got this. I know my pace. I can do all this. So I think it will get better and better and better as it goes on.
Yep, you just reminded me, by the way, talking about incidents at Belle Isle. Bill Backer's not here today, which I'm disappointed about.
Pray for Bill.
Had 2 incidents last week on the first lap, had 1 incident at Belle Isle on the first lap. I was hoping he would break that streak, but well, I suppose he is going to break that streak, isn't he? But that's by being not here, so it's not ideal. It doesn't really count, does it?
No, so, it doesn't. He just gets away with not crashing, doesn't he, this week? That's all for Bill. You know what I mean? He's had a rough one as Bill, and I'm hoping he'll get there. He'll be all right. We don't want no more hashtags pray for Bill.
That leaves just one Canadian on the field, by the way. Mike Elliott in the Corvette in the AMS. Just seen him set a lap time in warm-up, but not those times matters very much at all. It's time for the actual racing. 55 minutes here at Mugello, and it's Sean Riley who will start from the front ahead of David Van Roy, Josh Herring and Bradley Lovings. What a session that was, with 1/10 of a second separating those front four ahead of Jonathan Williams, the 5th placed Pro-Am leader. It is Michael Dionlog's side, but then the next of the Pro-Am rivals, Barry Acker and Mark Bolton on row 4. Alan Purser and Bradley Tidwell round out the top 10, with George Parfitt qualifying just outside there ahead of Stuart Gibbons in an all non-American row, which is quite rare. Rick Modric and Michael Champling go on row 7 ahead of Perna Hanolt and Cole Mudrick. It's Brian Dukowski and Mitchell Bowen on row 9 ahead of Jeremy Cheney, who's just been offered the support of Ryan Merriam, and then Dean Carroll. Just outside the top 20 is Kenny Bourgeois and Caleb Pocock. Then it is the AMs. JT Sawyer on pole again, but the gap is way smaller. Just under 0.04 of a second back to James Hillerix this time in 24th place. Quentin Price, the Pro-Am Championship lead, is quite a long way back from the pole sitter. In fact, 20 positions back from the pole sitter in Pro-Am, with work to do alongside Nick Marshall. Jose Valentin and then Kenneth Clodin are next ahead of Joey Mines and Ben Crowe. Just outside the top 30 is Brian Hoskins, the driver only 1 point off the Pro-Am Championship lead. That's a surprise. Klein Comfort is in 32nd. Gary Spencer and Robert Hadley are on row 17 ahead of Daniel Murray and Philip de Cruz, one of the relatively few Europeans in the field. Mike Elliott, one of the Canadians, is the only Canadian in 37th ahead of Scott Carlson and Jim Cunningham, with Justin Cook, who had PC issues in that qualifying session, and Heath Ollinger, who for some other reason didn't set a time on the grid as well. Now, Justin Cook seems to have started from the pit lane, seems to be starting from the pit lane. I can't really blame him because he would have been right at the back. However, we've just seen Bradley Tidwell go back to pit lane. It looks like one of the pretty big contenders for the Pro-Am win has got into the pit lane and seemingly decided to either start from there or even not start at all.
Yeah, I can't answer why. There's nothing, literally, apart from the fact he just jumped back to pit road for Bradley Tidwell, so I'm not entirely sure why that has come about. We do have a full pace lap, so a lot of travelling we're going to do with all of these 39 cars that are currently out on track. 40 or 41 are in the pits, so this could go off very, very well here. A lot brighter than the last time the OGRL Coffee Cup went to Mugello in pitch black darkness. Yes, that was what happened, Ed. Well done. Afternoon, James and Ewan, says Tom as well. So there we go. Look, good afternoons for me and you, dear sir.
That's nice. And someone getting the time of day right as well, which will, I can promise you, will not happen throughout all of this broadcast. What's going on here? Oh dear, what is going on here? There's always a big danger on formation laps of hitting one another. Now,
somebody checked
I don't know
up
what
here.
that was all about. Yeah.
So watch Alan Purse, who kind of checks up, or they check up in front. He runs in too hot. They all check up.
Big check up. It starts from Herring.
Yeah.
And Purser seemingly pretty furious because he, well, you would be, I suppose. Took a little bit of a while to get going again. And I think Herring maybe stood on the brake. I've got no idea what was going on there. Sean Riley is accelerating and braking a little bit to try and warm the tyres. Not really allowed. Let's see, did it start with Herring, or am I putting blame on him when he shouldn't have any? Oh no, Riley hits the brakes, Herring does, and then it's the concertina effect. Yeah, so it starts right the way from Sean Riley.
Yeah, it starts at the front. It's like that. Do you know, it's like being on a motorway and somebody hit their brakes, and then the brake lights go all the way back through the motorway. And do you know, that can actually travel for about 4 miles, that brake light.
Further?
Yeah.
Depending on the traffic, can travel hundreds of miles, but yeah. Never hit the brakes on the motorway is the tip you take for the broadcast.
Unless you're in traffic. Come on, let's be real about it. Because otherwise you're just going to cause a crash. No.
But if nobody hit the brakes in the first place, there wouldn't be any traffic. So, there you go.
Well, if nobody crashed in the first place, there wouldn't be any traffic, would there? Let's be real about it.
That is true, yeah. Last time I was on the motorway, I saw 2 trucks hit each other and loads of milk came out.
Nice. Just stood there with your mouth open.
That's a completely separate story. I don't know why I brought it up. Into the final corner come the drivers then. The OGRL Coffee Cup ready for round 3. It's been a good opening to the season. A couple of barnstorming races. First at Belle Isle with drama right at the very end between Devin Van Roy and Ryan Merriam. And then a great drive back through the field from Devin Van Roy. After issues at Spa, he got back to win 2 from 2. Can he make it 3 from 3? He's going to have to do it from the second place starting position here today, because it's Sean Riley getting the field underway. Green for 55 minutes of racing at Mugello, and it's single file already between the front 4 pro contenders who are likely to be the race winning candidates by the end of the day. Riley into turn 1 holds on well, then Ben Roy in second position. Good start from him as well, side by side for third as Bradley Lovings tries to make up places. There's already a spin in the background. I'm afraid we'll get some replays as to what's happened into turn 1 in a few moments time, but it's been a clean start, especially for the front 3 who are single file already.
Yeah, it looks like Stuart Gibbons may have had a moment there as well. He was alongside George Parfitt, so I'm hoping there wasn't any contact on that one. But Josh Herring, Michael Dione is there. John Williams is still leading Pro-Ams with Mark Bolton, Barry Acker in behind that. And it's all getting very, very tight. But we did say that was the possibility of going down into that turn 1. Alan Purser's in the mix as well. He's in that BMW tucked in behind Parfitt at the moment. And then Modric is behind that. So there's still a lot of action. JT Sawyer all the way down in 21st. He's up 2 as well. So it's all kicked off somewhere. We'll have a quick look back and see what happened to Stuart Gibbons here. I don't believe the leaders are battling as close as what we did, so we can have a quick look and find out if there was contact going down into turn 1.
Yeah, Stuart Gibbons on the outside. Ooh, it's a big dive from one of the Ferraris and George Parfitt gets into the side of him. I'm afraid he might get involved in a bit of trouble for that one because there was space on the inside and there was definitely contact made. The Pro-Am field, by the way, has just exploded because, well, I mean, look at all that. They're all over the place. Mark Bolton is completely disappeared. And, well, I can't even describe what's going on, to be honest. There's so many cars on top of one another. Parfitt down the inside of Modric now in towards the final corner. That was a lot better than the move in towards turn 1. And he is through into 8th place. But this is a huge group, and it's been kicked off by an incident, I think. Maybe after, maybe at turn 10 or 11, maybe just afterwards.
Yeah, Kenny Bourgeois was off. He's jumped back to the pits as well. Mark Bolton went off track. So whether or not this is what started this whole... Oh, he's already off the side of the circuit of that one.
Yeah. So that is turn 11.
Yeah, where did he go? Where did he... Oh, it's there. Hold on. How did he end up here?
So he went a little bit wide through the very fast right-handers, was side by side with one of the Porsches, and gets straight into the side of the 83. Good avoidance from Parfitt there. The 83 gets going again. Oh no! Should never rejoin like that, I'm afraid, and should hold the brakes too. Didn't hold the brakes, didn't rejoin well. I'm afraid that is not good.
Barry Acker.
From Barry Acker it is. It's Barry Acker. Yeah, you're right. In the 83 Porsche. The contact, I think, is probably racing incident between the two of them, maybe, but this stuff afterwards from Acker, I'm afraid he should get penalties for. There's one of them, bang straight into one of the Fords, and then needs to hold the brakes here, doesn't, gets clattered by one of the Corvettes. Might be Nick Marshall, that one. I think Kenny Bourgeois was the Ford Mustang that went straight into him and had no choice but to go straight into the side of him.
Oh, what went on here? Because he's jumped straight back to the pits here. What is... Whoa!
Oh dear, that looks technical.
That looks...
Oh my, he's found a cut through there. I didn't know that was there. Let's have a look.
Whoa!
Oh dear.
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what's gone on there.
No idea whatsoever.
No, not a clue, I'm afraid.
I will do some investigating.
Okay. Don't think that'll take much investigation, just a walk.
No, I'll message him because my cable ain't long enough.
Oh yeah. Sean Riley, meanwhile, leading the race. Dave Van Roy next, and then Bradley Loving. By the way, we did get 41 drivers start this race. Justin Cook and Bradley Tidwell both made it out onto the circuit, I'm pleased to say, from the pit lane. Tidwell already up to 29th, so that's 11 places gained from him so far, even if it shows he's minus 19, which I guess in some way kind of is, but in terms of where he actually started, he is plus 11. Other big gainers so far, Philip de Cruz up 15, but he needed to be. He's a pro driver who started way back in 36th.
Yeah, he has at the moment. George Parfitt's monitor went black, apparently.
I thought that was my guess.
Yeah, he couldn't see anything. So there you go.
It's a good idea to just keep turning right and put yourself in the wall than try and hit someone else, because when you can't see where you're going,
yeah, it's kind of
makes driving a good deal more difficult.
It's kind of important, so, you know, there you go. But his monitor went black, apparently.
Yeah, that's a shame. technical problems, I'm afraid, and all sorts of different problems, actually, not just technical, have obliterated the Pro-Am field. You were mentioning that it was going to be difficult for the pros to actually fight their way through, and it could provide a tricky race for some. Well, a lot of the pros have no longer had to overtake any of the AMs because they've all gone. There's only 3 inside the top 15 at the moment, which is a stark difference to qualifying.
Yeah, we've got 4, well, as far as I'm aware, 4 out. Barry Acker, George Parfitt, Nick Marshall, Kenny Bourgeois. Hoskins is down the back. Mark Bolton's trying to make his way back through after his incident. Justin's trying to even get going after not actually even turning a lap at this moment in time. And Bradley Tidwell is also trying to make his way back through the field. So, yeah, the Pro-Ams that were repping so well at the top of the standings has kind of all gone out the window. And Mark Chaplin, at this moment in time, with Pernell, is that Dean Carroll behind him, and Pernell Mitchell Bowen alongside him are battling out here.
Yep, it's all going on for 11th place. Champlin holds on for now, ahead of Bowen and Jenny Carroll, Dukowski as well. Looking not too far away in 16th place. But of the championship contenders, who is, or the championship top 3 anyway, the ones who are separated by just 1 point at the start of the day, who's really done well out of this? Well, none of them are inside the top 15. Quentin Price is leading the championship. He is currently in 17th place, but Hoskins is way down, as you mentioned, and
well, that doesn't
Tidwell
look good.
had to stop from the pit lane. There's Gary Spencer without a rear wing. I think he might have spun out of turn 3.
Yeah, I think so. Clyde Comfort went off. I didn't know if he was involved in this.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, he's just got loose on his own. Look, bang.
Yeah.
And
it's quite a light touch on the wall for the rear wing to just fall off, but it has done.
Yeah, it just popped off. JT Sawyer has lost the AM lead. I think JT may have been involved in some of the carnage that went on at the moment. He's sitting 5th in class currently, is JT. So I think something happened to JT there as well. I think he might have got caught up in the earlier chaos.
Very possibly. Side by side for 13th place. Carroll and Cheney just up the road over the start-finish line, through the final corner, in fact, going side by side. It's a big pro battle, this, for the latter end of the top 10. And look at this already, lap traffic having to get out of the way. This could be a very difficult race for some of those who have had issues already. There you go, Carroll and Dukowski just behind Cheney here. There they are, orange. The car on the left-hand side is Dukowski, who brakes very, very late and rips around the outside. He's going to have that place as a result of braking so much later. Like Carroll almost let him have that one as the blue Corvette here just trying to stay out of the way of everybody.
Yeah, Gibbons is trying to just sort of get himself, well, as you say, out of the way, I believe, on that one. So I think that's Stuart Gibbons in there, yeah, just trying to move himself from the equation of what is going on. He doesn't look like he's a lap down, so unless that was him just letting people through currently for Stu Gibbons. I haven't got him registering as a lap down, but yeah, that's an interesting one. That is not. That's Robert Hadley there. What have you been up to? But then again, Gary Spencer has also been off the side of the circuit here. Oh, that's the Corvette with no rear wing, isn't it?
Oh no! Oh no!
Stay. Put it somewhere. Well done.
Oh no! He's got big damage there. Even bigger damage now, I'm afraid. Oh dear, that Ferrari doesn't look good either. This is a lot of damaged cars, I'm afraid, rolling around at the moment as Dukowski continues to defend from Carroll. He's got the Rexy livery sort of, with orange instead of green. Teeth on the front.
Yeah, that's got its own name. If you speak to Bradley Dalton, he'll tell you what that is.
Okay.
That's not the... It's not the Rexy. It's called something else. Hold on, I'll do some investigating.
Similar, yeah. Similar. On the teeth. If anyone knows, put yourself in YouTube chat and
yeah, what is the red one called? I'm going to message Brad. What is the red one called?
Orange one, yeah. Sean Riley, meanwhile, leads the way ahead of David Van Roy, then Bradley Lovings. Not much changes between these 3. They are the fastest 3 in the field. A little bit ahead of the likes of Josh Herring, Michael Dion, although Herring has got back to 4th place. Got a bit of work to do to get back with these guys and back to where he will feel he believes after it belongs, I should say, after a good qualifying performance. Put him in 3rd place and less than a tenth away from pole position. But now he needs to do a bit of work to get back to that position. Battle for second in Pro-Am is pretty close too between Hanout and Champlin. That's for 10th overall as well. Battle for the lead in Am is going on as well between Hillerick, Mines and Valentin. All 1, 2 and 3. Right in behind, Quentin Price, the Pro-Am Championship leader. So it's all going on back here in Am as well. This is the midfield where there are not very many big gaps at all. From Modric, the second of the Modrics in 9th place, that's Cole Modric in 9th. Right the way down to Philip de la Cruz pretty much in 21st. It is a very, very long train of cars that is probably quite difficult to work through.
Yeah, green is Rexy, pink is Roxy. So I'm guessing Dudkowski's livery is pink.
Okay. No, well, that doesn't really work, does it? It's orange.
Hold on.
It's orange. Oh yeah. Anyway, that's.
I'll speak to. I'm trying to. It's all right. Brad's the man with the knowledge of the Rexy kind of liveries. He loves them liveries. He's actually got a plushie, I believe, of the Rexy one.
Okay.
So he's the man in the knowledge. So just in the background talking to him there. Cruz is trying to come back through the field down here for Lee Dela Cruz, as you can see currently on your screen, trying to go side by side.
Yeah, Valentin is the latest one to be picked off now. It's Jose Valentin on the way towards turn 1. Pretty tricky. Dela Cruz round the outside here. Oh, needs to be careful closing the door too much. Need to give a bit of space, and he has given just the right amount in the Porsche. And he makes his way through into 20th overall. At the moment, that is 14th in class, I believe. So he is making progress all of a sudden now. But always difficult after qualifying so far down. 16 positions gained. And after all as well, the positions gaining are going to get fewer and further between the longer this race goes on. I mean, we're nearly 15 minutes in. He made up loads of those places on the opening lap, and that's the first time I've seen him make an overtake in sort of open play, if you like, in the normal flow of the race.
Yeah, on track in an aggressive way for position, because literally, as you said, there's been quite a few incidents that have caused a problem, and Mitchell Bowen is one of them here. He sat in behind Michael Chapman trying to make his way forward. Obviously, it's a Pro-Am split in front of us, of course. Williams in the lead, then Hanley and Chapman not far in front. That's the two cars in front of us. Hillerick and Mines are battling it out in the AMs, but currently at the moment, Bowen trying to keep up with the cars, but not kind of making it and not having the pace.
At the final corner he goes, looking for a way through on the Porsche in front. Now is that? No, it's not Modric ahead of him, is it? It's another
Chapman.
class car.
Yeah, Chapman.
Okay, Chaplin. Yeah, trying to get past Heno then on the way towards turn 1. He's not going to be close enough to manage that. There they are, battling for second place in the Pro-Am standings. But once again, even despite a closer qualifying and lots of drivers in Pro-Am this time right up towards the front, we have seen a very clear leader. Jonathan Williams, who did get pole position, has really accelerated here, and look at that, 10 seconds now his margin to second place, and he's all on his own with the tractor himself.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. As you can see, Bowen and Chamberlain going side by side here. I wasn't expecting Williams to be out the front just because of how quick Mark was. For the Jeremy Cheney supporter in YouTube chat, unfortunately he's just had a moment and gone off the side of the circuit, but Mark was looking very quick and obviously got caught up in that as well. So I think this whole championship currently is still wide open, and I don't think it matters. Oh, Corvette just got loose.
Oh,
got loose coming around the corner, put him into the wall. So yeah, but they're getting quite spread out, but we have still got pit stops to come, and obviously Riley, Van Roy and Lovings are still battling out at the front here.
They are, and Ben Roy, certainly on a couple of these occasions, has got very, very close indeed to Sean Riley. It was interesting talking to him last week, saying that, well, I don't really think about tyres in these races, I don't take them, and it has saved him a bit of time in pit stops, and arguably it's served him quite well as well, because he had good speed on the exit of the pit stop cycle, especially at Spa. He did get run down at Belle Isle, to be fair, but he did have good speed towards the end at Spa to be able to take that win pretty convincingly in the end. I wonder what he's going to do here. What it looks like to me is that he's staying behind Riley on purpose so he can fuel save to the absolute maximum, go longer than Riley into this race, and then take a shorter pit stop, come out ahead of him and try and win his third in a row.
Yeah. Again, we spoke about it earlier on. Don't just sit there in traffic and do nothing. You know, you can look at it and make something come of something. You know, make your own luck, as they say, as Joey Means has just got up the inside of James Hillerick for the lead in the AMS.
Yeah, that is a class leading pass by Joey Means in that late 90s Porsche Tribute livery. Oh dear, and one of these other Porsches went off in front of them there, I think, and that's given them an overall position, not a class position. Dean Carroll it is, with now Philip de la Cruz behind him. So finally, Cruz has got something to aim at. He's been overtaking cars not in his class for ages, and finally he's got a pro driver in front of him.
Yeah, he's going to try. He's got Dean Murray Carroll there to try and get past there. De la Cruz in the Porsche, Murray Carroll in the Porsche as well as that. So they're both going to be in the same cars. It will come down to who's got what driver skill now to be able to get through. It's very difficult at the moment because there's a lot of mixed classes. You know, we could look at Penel Hanley, who's got Mitchell Bowen, pro, Champlin, Dudkowski, pro, Caleb Pollock, pro, behind him. And then you could even go down to Dan Moore, who's got Cheney, pro, behind that as well. So they're very intermixed at the moment. If you look on the left-hand side there, you see just how muddled up they actually are.
Absolutely, yeah. They are all over the place. They are. So out of the final corner for this battle, which is a smaller group than it once was, but still it's pretty large for this stage in the race. We're over a quarter of an hour gone now in this one, well over a quarter of the race complete, approaching a third now, and approaching the window where you can make pit stops crucially and make it to the end. That's going to be the real key moment in this race, as always, especially at a circuit that is just so difficult to overtake. Any situation where you can get yourself out of this level of traffic is certainly a good place to be. There is the battle working its way through. It's Champlin really who's getting closest to the drivers ahead. Mitchell Bowen looking at 11th place, wanting to keep it, but as you say, so many battles that are not for class positions that it's pretty difficult to read at the moment. Champlin can't quite get down the inside by the start of the second sector. That's the right-hander of turn 6 at Mugello that he obviously wasn't able to find his way down the inside of because it's such a difficult corner. But now we're really settling in here and we're starting to appreciate just how difficult it is to make overtakes. Yeah,
we've lost quite a few people. I think we're 6 people light already. I believe it's Barry Acker still running, Nick Marshall's still running, and Gary Spencer. So I think we're actually 2 or 3 people out, aren't we, at the moment? But it's all mixed up from what went on at the beginning. So I think there's, you know, it's very hard to predict at the moment because of the pit stop cycle. We can't really sit there and say, right, JT Sawyer is going to go and win the AMS now because he's sat in 7th in class at the moment. Jonathan Williams, he's going to go and win the Pro-Ams, but he might get his pit stop wrong and could end up getting a penalty. So there's so much that's still to come. So you've really got to stay tuned to see how this one pans out, whether or not Riley can hold on and break that Venroy winning streak, right? You don't want to give Venroy any more positions or any more points than what you've already given him. Can Riley stay in front of Venroy? That's going to be the one that we're going to be looking out for the most.
Yep. Just seen, by the way, Bradley Tidwell pass JT Sawyer, so he's really on a march and looking for places as well. Despite starting in 40th position, he's made up 11 places now, and the first of our recognised scheduled pit stops. Kenneth Cloddin in 24th comes into the pit lane in that Corvette. Interesting call, considering he wasn't actually in the most clean air or dirty air of anybody. You're more likely to see it surely from someone like Brian Dukowski, actually. But anyway, Cloddin has decided it's now that it's time to come in, and over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to see a pretty steady stream of drivers come in. But all in all, the 39 remaining drivers in this field will all have to come in.
Yeah, they're going to have to come in, and it will just be a mixed up of who's going to do what. Some are going to run it completely out and run it dry, which is what they kind of look like they're giving us the impression that they might do, to be honest. That's what I would do, and that's just the way. I can't manage all these pit stops, malarkey me. I just put Cruise iRacing on and say, crack on, do me fuel for me, and I run it completely out. So I'm not as technically minded as these people on this race circuit, where they're thinking about what they can do, can't do, who's going to do what, where they're going to come out. I think it could be quite interesting. It's more of a strategy game when you start bringing pit stops into the equation.
Yeah, especially at a circuit like this. I mean, even if you, as the BMW tries to go down the inside, Bowen, not quite the room to do that, although pretty close. Even if you are letting the R-Racing system decide how much fuel you can put in, you can wait at least to burn that amount of fuel in your tank and then know that you'll have enough space to replace it, and then you know your window's open, but that does take a bit more thinking about, to be fair. Berger-Karski, meanwhile, is looking to make a move here without pit stops, looking to try and get through Michael Champlin. He's in a higher class, of course, but that doesn't immediately mean that Champlin has to get out of the way, and so Karski's going to find this tricky. Couldn't get through into turn one there, even being less than 2 tenths behind his fellow Porsche. He still wasn't close enough to make a move.
Yeah, it wasn't. An update on that livery. That is a Roxy livery. It's just slightly off the colour of the pink that it is, I believe. Rexy's green, Roxy's pink, and Dudkowski's somewhere in the middle. So he's an Oxy. I don't know.
It's a Dudkowski.
Yeah, it's a Dudkowski livery.
Yeah, so there you go. It's, that confused us pretty easily, although it doesn't take much. Meanwhile, the BMW of Mitchell Bowen looking for a way through on Rick Modric here, who I think got passed by Cole Modric not so long ago and is beginning to slip and slide. Sometimes get these drivers who qualify pretty well and struggle to hang on to those positions in the race. Not saying that Rick Modric is suffering with that at the moment, but he is suffering with losing 1 or 2 places. He's got 4 queuing up behind, and that can never be a good sight.
No, it can't. It makes you kind of the cork in the bottle, doesn't it? Let's be real about it. Kelly Walker, give him hell, little brother. Hashtag David Van Roy fam. So clearly Kelly is David Van Roy's sister, as these guys continue to fight out. So fair play, Kelly, for that one. Stuart Gibbons, I'm not going to say he's under attack because it's not actually for class position, but he is out there with Jeremy Cheney behind him and Jose Valentin behind that. And at the moment, they've got Dela Cruz is 4.5 seconds up the road. Every other battle below that has settled down. Panel Hanlett side by side with Mitchell Bowen.
3 different classes and 3 positions back there, by the way, as Bowen goes round the outside of Hano. Can he make it all the way round? He needs to stay alongside for 2, and he can't. This is an important pass to make, the pro driver, if he wants to continue to march up the field, because the longer they spend behind the likes of Rick Modric here and Cole Modric as well, the less time and chance he's going to have to go further up the field. There's very much a cut-off point here coming up very soon, with just over half an hour remaining in this race for Mitchell Bowen. It's could have done with more aggression really on the way through first couple of corners, as we go back to the leaders, who are quite a long way round the lap actually compared to that battle just going round the middle sector now.
Yeah, they are. They're coming round. Where are they? In through. Oh my dear, I forgot we called us Biandetti 2 before they go into Buccini at the end there. And as you say, that battle of 12th, 13th, and 14th, they're up at Palagio. So they are literally about quarter of a track length away from the leaders. What do we do? Okay, so if I gave you a perspective and said, right, Ewan, you're in with David Van Roy, you're in the Van Roy car, would you be telling him to pit, or would you be telling him to stay out and keep chasing? Because at the moment, he's not really going anywhere at all, apart from following Sean Riley.
I think I would take the risk if I was David Van Roy here of staying out, overcutting Riley, because he got 2 advantages to this, sitting behind him fuel saving. First of all, the fact that you can, when you do the overcut, be on less fuel than Riley at the time. You can put in some very blisteringly fast lap times there. Second of all, you can avoid being in traffic too much. I know he's stuck behind Riley at the moment. However, if he pits now, he'll be in even more traffic, and traffic that will be slower than Riley as well, because we can't forget he is still quick here in the BMW, even if maybe not as quick as Van Roy. And then, third of all, don't really know how this race is going to pan out until the pit stop, so I wouldn't argue he's stuck behind Riley. I think it's worth the risk overcutting here and doing those laps on the less fuel, coming out ahead. In his mind, he'll be hoping so anyway, and that might be the way to win this race. But there's no doubting he's in a tricky situation here, but you just got to place your faith in the races gone previous. Maybe take advantage of something like this.
Yeah, I believe that may have been Kenneth Cloddin in the Corvette there. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him. It looks like Stuart Gibbons is at a moment, and he's dropped back down the order currently. Riley gets that corner all a little bit wrong. That's going to bring in Venroy and Lovins right up behind him. But didn't they do this in Spa, if I remember correctly? Didn't Venroy just sit in behind Riley and then come out in front of him?
Yep.
He did, didn't he?
He was certainly taking it easy in the first part of the Spa, that's for sure. Also seen, by the way, Mitchell Bowen go down the order, so I think something's happening in that group of 4 or 5 we were watching earlier on with Dukowski and all the others. Let's have a look at Gibbons first, though. This is separate.
Oh, he's missed that. Way too hot.
I thought he was going to get away with that, but
no,
he
far
goes
too.
for a spin.
Far too
And now
toasty.
then, let's see what happened. So he's already alongside Dukowski. And he gets it wrong on the curb at turn 6 and does not quite grab the wall, but he's in such an awkward place now in terms of reversing and getting back going again. Stuart Gibbons, I'd imagine, has overheated his tyres and is continuing to struggle with them. And loads the gravel.
Not really sure. I think that was just trying to take too much speed there for Gibbons. Unfortunately, is he got 2 liveries? Is there somebody else with another Corvette livery like that as well? That's probably going to confuse us a little bit there. So. But yeah, very exciting to see. I'm waiting for the sort of the main group to start pitting. I think anybody currently right the way down to 24th has not pitted. So I'm kind of waiting for that main group to start going in to see where people are starting to come out and how long it's going to take. Because obviously pit stop times below that, you know, we've got a few that are into the minutes that have had repairs and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be looking, seeing how this one all pans out here once they start going in and who's going to be the main group and who's going to be able to set it kind of off almost. It almost needs that catalyst, doesn't it? One person goes in and everybody kind of dives in behind them.
Although the top 30 haven't been in yet. Those couple you can see inside the top 30 who seem to have been in the pit lane just started there. That was Bradley Tidwell and Justin Cox, so technically they haven't really been in. Well, I guess technically they have, but they haven't really, if you see what I mean. So we are still waiting, really. And again, this is the danger of this circuit where you can so easily get stuck behind someone, and maybe not even just one person, a whole train of cars. You don't want to find yourself in these situations, and so it certainly does encourage a bit of caution from these drivers, although maybe now David Venroy wants to make his move. He had a look down the inside into turn 1 there as the stint nears its close. He may be thinking, if I'm coming in the pit lane the same lap as Sean Riley, I'm going to have to get ahead of him just to get that car length advantage that at the moment Riley holds over him. Yeah,
he tried to look, he almost jinked him to have a look to see what Riley would do, and Riley just covered him off, which was what was expected. So he's going to have to try something a little bit different now for Venroy. Lovins is, I would say, dropping back, but he's about half a second back from these 3. So Venroy's got to really kind of show what he can do and where he's going to be able to do it, because you can have a look over the sectors at the bottom. Venroy just set the fastest on a 38.966 for sector 1, so he is really closing in on Riley, and Riley's going to have to take something to think about here, whether or not he's going to dive in and get out of the way, what's the situation going to be, or he's going to hold him up for as long as he possibly can.
It's very interesting between these two now. Bradley Lovings is still there, but you get the feeling he's just clinging on a little bit compared to the 2 ahead of him. Slightly more large in terms of wheel-based cars, the BMW and the Ford compared to the lighter Porsche. But it's not quite as quick by the looks of this at the moment. Into the final corner that they go. BMW a little bit wide in all honesty, and Venroy will have another run here. He had a great run in towards turn 1 last lap, was so close he even gave it a go. He's not quite as close this time, I don't think, and so he might not give it a go again, but he will be benefiting from the slipstream. We know that Ford is pretty good in a straight line because of its raw power. It's not particularly aerodynamic, but it is powerful. But that just shows you even a slightly poor exit from the final corner from Riley wasn't enough for Venroy. He needed a better exit himself. Didn't get that, and he stays in second place.
Yeah, it's very much looking, when we talk about the gaps coming out the final corner, how they're going to be able to play that. It's very much looking that they've got to be within sort of 2.5 tenths to even remotely get any form of draft assist on the overtake here, which is really quite a tight gap when they've got to. Mike Elliott's just had a moment as well. 2.5 tenths, they've got to be really, really close to be able to get that run, and it does does look like if he's any further than 3.5, there's just not enough of the straight for him to close that gap up. So Venroy's got to think, if he is going to go it down for turn 1, he's got to try and get within about 2.5 tenths going around that final corner of Buccini before he can get onto the start-finish line straight.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna take here. Venroy needs something a little bit better than what he's had so far in terms of an exit, but I personally don't think he really needs to make this move on track at all. I think his faith, based on the previous 2 rounds, should be placed on the pit stop phases, which have got him from not in the lead to the lead in various different ways in the first 2 rounds. So be banking on that personally. He doesn't seem to want to for now. Into the final corner they go. Sean Riley just taking a nicer arc and a nicer exit this time round. And so they go out onto the front straight, absolutely locked together, with Venroy almost certainly not close enough this time, unless there really is some sort of dive made that really would surprise us. Has a look to the inside, but that's purely mind games, I think. He'll stay in second place. It's a follow the leader situation, and this might continue for some time. We've still not seen anyone running inside the top 20 at the time come into the pit lane. Now we do. Now we do. Was that? Yes, we do. Brian Dukowski came in, so finally we do have a pit stop from someone in the top 10.
Yeah, Dudkowski's gone in first here. The battle on your screen is that Rick Modric, Pano Hanalei battle. Hanalei's going to want to try, well, Rick is in pro, Hanalei's pro-ham, so either he stays with him or they swap positions in some shape or form. Dudkowski's in, De La Cruz is in, Chini's in, Jose Valentin's in. So pit stop cycles really playing effect now, and they're all coming down the pit lane here. So fair play to these guys for making it in. We did say we're waiting for the catalyst to happen, and the catalyst has happened, so let's see how many more come in. Gives us a rough idea that we're probably going to see a lot more pitting over the next 2 to 3 laps.
Probably are, yeah, certainly are. To the final sector again for Sean Riley, who now is starting to encounter a little bit of traffic here. This is Kenneth Cloddin just about, so it wasn't Kenneth Cloddin we saw before, it was someone else clearly, because this is Cloddin now, just seeing ahead of the leaders.
Carlson.
So that shows you just how much time you can lose. But there you go, there's the answer.
Scott Carlson. Oh, there you go.
We're in 32nd position rather. Meanwhile, over the line for Sean Riley again. It's a smaller gap for Venroy.
Still not close enough.
BMW is getting the slipstream from the Corvette this time, just as Venroy really didn't need it. So that has helped Sean Riley defend in essence, and so he keeps the lead into turn 1 again.
Yeah, Riley wasn't close enough coming off anyway. That was before obviously the vet was there. Venroy wasn't in that 2.5 gap to Riley, so therefore it seems to be 2.5 tenths. It doesn't seem to be any more than that. If it's any more than that, he doesn't make it. Pedro Hanley's just gone into the pit lane there currently, so that's going to be another one got in. Venroy trying this sweeping to the right, pulling the car to the left kind of area, or pulling left to the right. I've seen that in a couple of series, in other series as well. Drivers have started sort of arcing out into the braking zone. I'm not quite sure why or whether or not it does anything, but I have seen drivers well up in 6.5 KI rating doing the same thing.
I think it's an attempt to get into the head of the driver ahead here, just pulling out, but it's not made much difference so far. Sean Riley will no doubt be looking in the mirrors anyway, whether Venroy is moving around in them or not. He goes a bit wide there though, and through this very fast chicane, he's not going to have a very good run at all. Is this maybe a chance? We don't see this into the final corner very often. But no, there is no chance here. If it's a setup maybe for turn 1, then he might have some more joy. But the line from Sean Riley is a lot better now, although he didn't quite get to the second apex there as well as he should have done. And now he comes in. He probably realised the danger and thought, I'm going to lose the place. I might as well come in. So now the race is really on. David Venroy leads. How much further does he go?
Well, he last time I think he went a lap and a little bit over Riley, if I remember, in Spa. Was it 1 lap or 2 laps? I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 that he went over Riley in Spa. But the problem is for Venroy now is he's got traffic. That is Jose Valentin in front. Now, I don't expect Jose to make any form of issues for not letting Venroy past, but it always gives you that doubt of what's going to happen. Riley's in, Herring's in, Dion's in, Purse is in, Modric is in. There you go. And Valentin does just kind of get himself out of the way. However, not out of the way enough for Bradley Lovins. Oh, Lovins might be a little bit unhappy about that as he's trying to go one over on Sean Riley currently at the moment. So Riley is gone round turn 1, coming up into 2 and 3. And if I give Venroy the rough standings of where his pit stop will be, very, very close to Mr. Sean Riley. So he's in and around the Riley area, should we say. As I say, you take that pit out as about 100 metres either way.
It's interesting that Riley's come in this time round, because really that was last lap before he came in was the first time a lot of the top 10 came in. And so it created a very big gap between second and third. That's not particularly the gap between those who have pitted and those that haven't, but it just created a very big hole in the field that Sean Riley has basically plugged himself in here and got himself behind Chaplin. So for the second race in a row, Venroy goes a lap further and pits in, this time with Bradley Lovins. Will the others carry on? It might not really matter because they're a long way behind. There's Sean Riley trying to retain the lead.
Yeah, he's coming all the way round where is it at the moment? Corinteo, before going into the Biandetti 1 and 2. So pit lane time roughly around about 45 seconds. They've got about another 15 to 20 seconds into the pits. So it could be very, very close here on whether or not these guys are going to be still there as Riley comes through. Now, Riley, well, there you go. He's on his way out. Riley is coming down the straight.
Here we go. I think Venroy might just be ahead here. His time in the lane was a half a second quicker compared to Sean Riley, and Bradley Lovins did a little bit of a longer stop, so he's in behind, but it's Venroy's in-lap that was spectacular. Look at the gap. Half a second was created through the pit stops, but even more has been created with a great in-lap from David Venroy for yet another round of this championship. He has worked the pit lane sequence to perfection, and he's got the lead again.
Yeah, he has. Once more, Riley just no response on pit lane cycles, it seems. Venroy just somehow manages to get it right. As you said, he was about, well, I've got him a little bit more than half a second. I've got him about 1.5 seconds, which would explain the gap between the two at the front, where they're obviously 1.5 seconds apart, where they weren't when they were coming in. So I've got him just a little bit 1.5 seconds in front at the moment for Venroy in pit times. But we are just waiting for everybody else to get their pit stop cycles done, and then we'll bring you up a group situation of what is going on in each class.
Yeah, it's still pretty all over the place though, and I think that though is the limit pretty much. 20 laps then on a tank of fuel for these drivers in this series, because they are limited slightly in terms of the fuel that they can actually get on board. In terms of those leaders though, it's, I think the only real noticeable difference here is Venroy gets slowed up a little bit in traffic here by one of the Corvettes. Oh, really slowed up by, is that Sawyer? JT Sawyer in 28th place. Or am I putting unfair blame on him? No, it is JT Sawyer. Doesn't have to get out of the way, I suppose. It is blue flags. They are only informational, but you can be sure for Sean Riley, that means that David Venroy didn't find it very easy. Neither is Riley, and even now, it's not easy. As Sawyer, does he brake early? Does he defend? He brakes normal and he goes side by side with the race leader. So now he probably should have backed off really, and now he is going to. Riley will go straight through, and look at that. Venroy has gone from 1.5 seconds to half a second in just moments.
That ain't, yeah. Okay, moving on before I start going ranting about blue flags and things like that. I know you sat back and said they're informational, but for me, that ain't cricket. Lift on the straight, you had plenty of time. They could have gone through easily. You're not fighting anyone. Just saying. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, I know.
You're trying to drop me in it and get me in trouble, and it ain't happening. I'm breathing here, Mr. O'Leary, beforehand.
No.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lower myself for you trying to feed me to the wolves once more when I start ranting about this. But yeah, for me, he should have just lifted on a straight. Job done.
Yeah, although I do maintain it's informational. Once you are side by side for a sustained straight like that with the leader, yeah, you probably should be getting out the way. But there you go. It's certainly made this more interesting for us. Let's put it that way. Sean Riley is very close now to David Boyd. He's had a very good run out of the chicane here. Is he going for it in the final corner? This is not somewhere you see moves made. But here we go into the final turn. Riley's on the inside and David Van Rooij's being made to fight for this in a way he's not been made to fight for quite a few weeks in this series. Absolutely dead level. It's going to be a photo finish at the line here with 14.5 minutes remaining. We've got a race on for round 3 of the OGRL Coffee Cup here at Mugello in towards turn 1. Riley's going to be on the difficult outside line, and with Van Rooij braking so late, it's going to be so difficult for the BMW, but that is the first scare for Van Rooij, who is being challenged in this race.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting that, but I think that back marker situation brought that on. Van Rooij was 1.2, and next thing you know, he was 3 tenths. So I think at the end of the day, he's got to be made aware that that back marker situation has caused that, and now he's going to have to go on the defense because that's all he can physically do.
Yep, through the middle sector they go. It is just under 14 minutes remaining. The lap times we've got going on, probably 8 laps, including the one we're on, and there's another Porsche ahead of them here. I think this is Justin Koch. I could be wrong. In the 26th position. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of an easier lapping sequence for these two. Though it's not going to be necessarily too easy. Say they're not going to step aside from a 1.5 seconds ahead like they do in Formula 1. They will wait a little bit later than that, but you won't have to fight your way through like a normal pass for position. That actually might be a second lapping it for somebody. No, I think it is Justin Koch here for the first time being lapped. Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, so there you go. And then next up is Bradley, and there he goes, getting out the way. Bradley Tidwell as well is next up, although they shouldn't get to him by the end. Tidwell's making progress through the field despite starting this race from the pit lane. Van Rooij didn't get a very good run onto the front straight here, and so Sean Riley's going to be back at him again for the 2nd lap in a row. They'll be side by side into turn 1, and here goes Riley. Van Rooij just left that space to the inside there, and the BMW very much took it. Sean Riley down the inside, and he is in the lead for the first time in this season. David Van Rooij has been overtaken in the final stint of a race.
Yeah, he has. 12 minutes to go, though. Riley's going to have to go on the defense here because Van Rooij's not going to give him up easily whatsoever. So Riley is going to have to go and try now and open up whatever gap he can. And it's not a lot, that gap at the moment, 0.5 seconds. So it's very imperative that these guys try and do something. Back markers has caused an issue, I feel, for David Van Rooij because he lost a lot of time due to that JT Sawyer one. So he's going to now have to show what he's worth here, Van Rooij. He's now going to have to go and try and get Riley on track. Riley's looking feisty, and Van Rooij's not going to have it his own way.
This is going to be so interesting. As I mentioned, in Belle Isle, Van Rooij did come under fire from Ryan Merriam, and quite a lot of fire as well, but he never got overtaken. And in Spa, he wasn't even challenged, although the gap was closer, well, quite close. He wasn't challenged, and he wasn't overtaken, certainly. For the first time, Riley has been able to overtake David Van Rooij in the 2nd stint of this race, and now has 11 more minutes to hang on. I think it'll be another 6 laps, but it's going to be pretty close in terms of how many laps we are going to have remaining. It's going to be one of those where it could be 6 or maybe 7. Van Rooij, we've spoken to him last week, and he says he always takes the extra lap iRacing gives out normally. He takes that out the car just to reduce the pit stop time. Now, this is a race that could be quite close as to whether we've got 6 or 7 more to go. And so will he come to rue that decision that he makes in every single session where he takes that lap of fuel out for insurance policy so that he can have a shorter pit stop. It worked this time round after all. He was half a second quicker, but if he runs out of fuel by the end of the race, it won't be quicker, that's for sure.
Yeah, but then he got held up. It's a difficult one because, as you say, this is going to be very, very close on the line situation. But it's difficult for Venroy. He took it out, he was faster, and then come out and lost it all. You know what I mean? And it's things like that within race drivers, drivers' minds that can really throw them off, because he's like, oh, he could be getting all red misty and say, come on, man, I've just got it, and now he's behind me because you held me up and all this sort of stuff. So for Venroy, he's just got to kind of settle down and show us what he's got. If he needs to make sure he's got enough fuel, use fuel save now. Fuel save now behind Riley. You've still got 9 minutes. You're going to have at least probably 3 or 4 laps. So save fuel now. Don't put it at risk when you're coming towards the end there.
I don't know. I think if he's going to run out, he might as well push and run out, to be honest, because he's never going to save a lap in 9 minutes, I don't think, without some really severe saving. So I don't think he'll be quite worried about that yet, but he will be beginning to make those calculations as to how many laps we have remaining. I think he'll be okay. I think it's 5 to go this time round, and I don't think it is going to be quite as nail-biting, but, it could be. Let's see at the end of the day. This is by far the close leading battle in any of the classes. Jonathan Williams has dominated in Pro-Am by 13.5 seconds. James Hillelicht has not dominated, but he has lately stretched out a bit of a margin of just over 3 seconds. So both of the other leaders are feeling fairly secure. What this is also doing, by the way, is giving us an early championship picture. David Venroy leads Sean Riley by 5 points at the start of this. As at the moment, Venroy would go from 5 points ahead of Riley to just 4 ahead, while also extending the margin over Josh Herring to 5 points. So it wouldn't be a very big margin at all, but it would be a gain here for Riley, and one that he needs to start making, because Venroy doesn't look like he's going to make very many mistakes this season.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head there as well, to be fair. He's got to be looking at, for Riley, he's got to start taking points off him. And we know it's only 1, but I think that's where this tight point system allows this racing to go down to the wire. I think that's the thing. If it was Venroy Riley, Venroy Riley, Venroy Riley, Venroy Riley, Venroy Riley all the way through the season, we'd only have probably by the end of it 6 points difference between them. So it keeps it very, very close. But Riley's got to try and overturn Venroy's first double win at the beginning of the season, Belle Isle and Spa. Riley's got to put his name in there and say, no, I'm not going to give it to you. You're not going to have it all your own way, and I am going to make sure I'm going to be on this racetrack, and you're going to have to work for this, because otherwise then 1 points and 1 points and 1 points could quite add up when we come to the last race of the season.
It's not only about offsetting those 2 race wins, though, it's also about somehow gaining points on Venroy some way, because the way Venroy was able to get 5 points over Riley was by Riley finishing in lower down positions than just in second here. So Riley hasn't, I don't know where he's finished actually, but he's dropped 5 points effectively. Venroy's dropping 1 point here. To drop 5 points, he'd have to go down to 6th. It's pretty easy maths. It's just 1 point per position, and the classes don't matter. You don't score points in terms of your class. You score it in terms of the overall picture. But right now, they're not going to be thinking about that very much. Venroy's clearly got to think about closing this margin again. Is Riley turning out to be the quicker of the 2? This will be quite a turn-up, but at the moment, he's getting a bit of a gap.
Yeah, he is at the moment. I can tell you, Riley finished 4th at Detroit and Venroy won. He finished 3rd at Spa and Venroy won. So that's where the 5 point difference has come in going into this round. It was Riley just being, as I say, just not being near him coming into this. So they're going to continue this battle all the way through the rest of this race, and Riley's got to try and find ways of overturning it, and one of them is a good start by winning. As you say, every other class looks a little bit more sewn up, ready to go. I think James Hillerick could be the only one under pressure from Joey Means here as he's coming down into turn 1. These guys fighting out for the AM lead.
Thought that it was over. Thought James Hillerick was going to win this, but he's been chased down now by Joey Mines, who is right behind, and we've got a couple of Corvettes right in there as well. They're not class fighters, but they will be involved somehow in this little group. So is very interesting indeed. Another AM battle coming right down to the very end. JT Sawyer, of course, is the championship leader by 8 points ahead of Gary Spencer. As things stand, Spencer's nowhere near at the front. JT Sawyer in 5th position. And Mike Elliott, I'm afraid, has not had a very good race today either. He's down in 9th place, Gary Spencer 11th. So it's going to be another day where JT Sawyer extends the championship margin, and he is going to be the championship leader with the biggest gap to the rest of the field at the end of the day as things stand.
Yeah, I think you might actually find Spencer is out.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, Spencer is out. He completed 16 laps and then he is out. So there you go.
Yep. Okay, so at the moment, well, he's only losing about 10 points to Sawyer, so it's not actually a disaster, but it's not great either, being out of the race, as we know. Brian Dukowski's not too far away from Michael Champlin at the moment. That's a battle going on for the final spots inside the top 10, a little bit further up the field, so it's all getting pretty interesting here towards the end. It is nice at Mugello when you get towards the end of the race. You know, in the first stint of the race, after the start anyway, there wasn't an awful lot of overtaking. However, there's a bit more now, and there's action into turns 2 and 3 between Dukowski and Champlin, and there's a spin as well for Pernod Hanno. That is a pretty unideal place to spin. He's going to get going though in 13th place, because there's such a big gap behind him.
Yeah, Caleb Pocock, I think that was. Both of them together here. Do you know, that's so hard. That is so hard to RC over that, because it was Joey Meems has just gone alongside. 2 seconds, I'll go back to that one. As James Hillerick here. They're continuing to fight it out now on their way to Malarazzi. He's got the position done. James has got to go again here and try and get that position back for that AM lead, because, well, just why not, right? Get your points in.
By the way, it wasn't Hanno with Pocket. It was with one of the Porsche. It was one of the Porsches ahead. I know he's now behind Pocket, but he's just been overtaken as Pernod Hanno even. It was one of the other Porsches.
What did he do then? Because I've only got that one.
I just went wide, I think.
Oh no!
Oh no! His tyres will be warm. Oh, and he's hit the wall as well. This could get quite tricky towards the end. He might lose his podium in class here. He's currently 3rd.
He has.
And he would like to hang on to that, and he will maybe lose his podium in class if he's not too careful. There is...
Trying to work out, he's got about 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds, give or take, to Quinton Price. So it depends. Oh, his bumper. I'm sure his bumper was off at one point, but it's now back on.
It's back on again, yeah.
It's back on. So he might be all right. If he's got away with that one, fair play to him. But I can tell you, he's a lucky boy if that is the case. These two are still fighting out in pros. Joey Means and Hillerick are still scrapping it out as well. 2 Porsches going for it for the lead of the AMs. So, yeah, great little battle going on as well. And I think after this round we might see all 3 classes still wide open. I don't think anybody has wrapped this up and who can definitively say Riley's going to win the pros, Williams is going to win the pro-am, and Means is going to win the AMs. I don't think that's the case in this series. They've got these classes completely balanced with the way that they've been separated, and I think the guys have done a great job, and I think this could go down right the way down to all 6 rounds in this first 6 weeks.
Is this going to be the last lap or not, is the next question, because that was very close over the line again for these two. As to whether it will be or not, we'll have to keep an eye on them over the line next time, just in case it is, but they're pretty close indeed. Hanno has got good enough speed to hold on from Quinton Price, I think, so that'll be okay. There's not, as you can see, not very many class battles, actually. Plenty of battles for overall places, but not very many for class positions at all. Jose Valentin's involved in one of them ahead of Daniel Murray. There's Clyde Comfort completely on his own here, just under 7 seconds behind Heath Ollinger. Made good progress in this race, up to 6th place in AM after starting from the pit lane, the only driver in that class to do so.
They got very close together. Hillary there as well. I was trying to see if Barney was waving. Barney isn't waving, so I'm guessing they must have crossed over the line well enough to... No, I know. And then all of a sudden we'll have the checkered flag come out. So I'll keep an eye on the leaders. They're just on their way round Corianteo at the moment, the right-hander, before they go down into Biandetti 1 and 2. So I will keep an eye on them to see if this is going to be the final lap or if it's going to be not. They've got about... 20.
This is very close for the AM lead as well. We're going to have too much stuff to watch here. The AM lead, I think, is side by side. Mines is just about hanging on here ahead of Hillary, who knows it could be the last chance. Looking up the inside. Oh, the two Porsches going side to side, and Hillary gets back through into turn number 1. Was that the last chance, or is this the last lap? Coming up towards the line, Sean Riley is 5.43, and he gets there. One more lap, so there will be 31. Let's hope everyone's got enough fuel on board here, and let's hope James Hillary has too, because that was a good pass into turn 1. There'll be one more chance for Mines to come back at him on this last lap. These guys have still got a very long way to go.
Yeah, they've still got this one and one more. So technically, they've still got 1.5 laps to go here because they were in front of the leaders. So they've still got this one to finish and one more to go. So this battle is not over yet. Joey Means and Hillary putting on the action in the AMs right the way towards the end of the race. The clock is 0, but they've still got one more lap to go if they stay in front of the leaders, which is what they will do. So these guys are going to continue to fight it out down there as well. So this is great for us as we get to watch the AMs go at it one more time. It does look like Means has just lost a little bit of time to Hillary there. Only temps, mind you. And I'm one. Is he losing more and more? No, he's not chugging already, surely. No, he's not. He's okay. But yeah, he's just lost a little bit of time there. So great job to them.
Yeah, it's been very interesting indeed. The end of this race, the AM leaders are going to have one more chance into turn 1. This could be dramatic. Joey Mines knows that this is it now if he wants to pass James Hillary, but it could be tricky. He's not that close realistically, although Hillary wasn't, to be fair, 1 lap ago. Mines not close enough for a move down the inside. Hillary defends nevertheless on the inside, and so it's going to be a real interesting race for the remainder of the lap. Meanwhile, Sean Riley is going to take the race win and our first different winner overall in the OGRL Coffee Cup. The BMW goes over the line taking the victory. David Van Roy suffering his first defeat of the season, but he holds on to his championship lead and actually extends it compared to most of the field, because Bradley Lovings finishes 3rd ahead of Joshua Herring, who is 4th. In the Pro-Ams, Jonathan Williams is not too far away from finishing. He has been dominant today from start to finish.
Yeah, and he's down 1 from where he started, of course, but obviously there was a lot of carnage, wasn't there, that happened in and around that area. So he's done a great job holding on to that. Chaplin is going to be coming over the line in 2nd, but Panel Hanley is going to be rounding off the 3rd place. I'm going to pick up on the AMs because they have not finished as of yet, and they're still scrapping, and they've still got a quarter of a lap to go.
You know that the final corner can be a chance to overtake, but I don't think Joey Mines can do it anymore. He's nearly a second behind. He might be spluttering towards the end here. Oh, he's off. That's why he's so far behind.
Well, there you go. That's killed that one. So fair play to Hillary.
Yep, he will win here by the looks of it. 2.5 seconds. The gap continues to grow. Great win for James Hillary here. A bad day for most championship leaders in AM, in all honesty. But all in all, good race for the win. James Hillary comes out on top. 2.5 seconds is going to be his margin in the end, with a pass on the penultimate lap down the inside at turn 1 to give him the place ahead of Joey Mines. And then Jose Valentin, as I mentioned, JT Sawyer, the best place of the top 3 in the championship. He finishes 5th, although will lose points to some of his rivals. The likes of Harry Spencer, Mark Elliott will lose points there as the final couple of drivers come over the line. Bradley Tidwell goes over the line in a nice place in Pro-Am, despite starting from the pit lane. So that is it for 55 minutes of racing. Let's have a quick look at the results. If everybody's gone over the line, they're just about completing the race. Has everybody managed it? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, here we go. Yes, Sean Riley wins, as you can see. 6 tenths of a second ahead of David Van Roy, who doesn't win for the first time this season. Still second, though, ahead of Bradley Lovings and Josh Heron. It's Michael Dion running up the top 5 with the Pro-Am winner, Jonathan Williams, next. Alan Purser in the next position, and Cole Modric and Rick Modric in the next 2 positions. Brian Dukowski got just ahead of Michael Champion, the first driver, over a minute back from the lead. Kellett Pocock was next ahead of Perno Hanau, who had that late spin. Dean Carroll, after that, ahead of championship leader going into this, Pro-Am's Quinton Price. Then it was the Am battle between James Hillerick and Joey Mines, with Mark Bolton next, recovering from early incidents to finish ahead of Kenneth Clodden. Jody Valentin next ahead of Bradley Tidwell, who started from the pit lane and climbed all the way through the field. Jeremy Cheney was the final driver on the lead lap, ahead of Daniel Maury, who was lapped, along with the likes of Mitchell Bowen and Justin Cook, who also started from the pit lane. Brian Hoskins was next ahead of the AM Championship leader going into this, JT Sawyer. Heath Ollinger was next ahead of Clyde Comfort. Philip de Cruz started the last of the pros and was embedded in that traffic for a lot of the race. Stuart Gibbons was next ahead of Ben Groves, with Mark Elliott. Scott Carlson, the final driver, 1 lap down. Nick Marshall, 2 down. Barry Acker didn't finish, neither did Robert Hadley, Gary Spencer, Jim Cunningham, George Parfitt or Kenny Bourgeois. So that is it for 41 drivers. Most of them getting to the end, and quite a few compared to what we had at the start, which was a bit of a mess. It's a good finishing number as well. Now joined by David Vimroy, who finished second in tonight's or this afternoon's race, or this morning's, depending on where you are in the world. Congratulations on another podium, David, and an extension to your championship lead as well. But how are you feeling after that one? You haven't been in a situation like that before, where you've been in the lead and you've had to defend, and you've actually been overtaken by someone in that final part of the race. Just what was that final stint like, trying to hold off Sean Riley?
It wasn't good, but Sean was just really fast. He fast in qualifying and fast throughout the week. And he kind of made a really strong move there. I thought he would kind of follow me for a bit, and then he just kind of went low, and I didn't want to wreck either one of us out. But no, kudos to him. I couldn't find a way around him. We had matching pace, but I didn't. He did a great job. Sean deserving the win for sure.
Talk to us about the pit stop cycle this time round. You let us in on some secrets at Spa as to how things have been going for you so far at Belle Island Spa. Was that any different this time round? Do you think the others maybe have gone for a similar strategy now to you? Because after all, there was only half a second gap this week between yours and Riley's pit stops.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody's, if you manage the tires a little bit, you're probably in pretty good shape. And the challenge, if you do change tires, is that they're cold when you do change them. And if you offset the changes, then it kind of makes the car act weird. So the tires were definitely fading towards the end on this one, though, for sure. So, I'm glad everybody's kind of catching on, makes it more competitive.
Are you concerned about that sort of kind of thing tyre-wise into the next round? I mean, we've got Zandvoort coming up, which on paper seems to me like a track that might be a difficulty on that front as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super difficult for the Mustang to do well there, but I think it ultimately comes down to just being smooth and driving the line, and so we'll see how it kind of shakes out.
And one final question as well. James is asking me to stir the pot and rock the boat by asking this, so I'm going to do it anyway. Do you feel you were held up a little bit by lap traffic when you were being chased there in the final stint?
There was no. I would say there was some
give over.
There.
James doesn't agree, by the way.
No way.
There was a couple of times. There was some sketchy stuff about halfway through that we had to go off track and all of that. But we there's still a lot to learn about how to properly get out of the way, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But at the end, I pushed it, and I was approaching the maximum incident points, and I didn't want to drive through. So I was trying to be a little bit more cautious.
It's a very diplomatic way of putting it. Somebody got in your way and wouldn't let you go even on the straight, and then battled you down into turn one. I've got to be honest, David.
Okay,
that was a very diplomatic answer.
Right. Okay, so let me go back to that. That was surprising that he drag raced me down the straightaway and made me go to the outside line. I agree.
Thank you very much. That was it. That was it. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I agree. That didn't need to take place for
No,
sure.
it didn't.
That did not need to take place.
No, he had the whole straight just to lift and let both of you through. So that was my opinion on it.
Yeah, Sean might have been paying him. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
Oh dear, now we're rocking the boat even more.
I wouldn't mind, but Sean's in the voice chat and can
bribery
hear him. So yeah, I think Sean was on the radio, wasn't he? Here, mate, hold him up a little bit.
We'll get rid of any bribery claims. Anyway, David, thanks very much for coming to chat to us first of all, and congratulations on what is realistically another good race. All in all, just feels not as good because you always win. But anyway, second place. Congratulations. Thanks for chatting to us.
No, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
No worries. Anyone you want to shout out, David, before you let go?
I'm gone.
You know what? Kudos again to you guys, Bradley, for continuing to do some good stuff. And then you won't see me for a few weeks just because we're moving. This is it. This is the last race until the next sub-season. So I'll be gone for about 3 weeks, but I'll be watching from afar. So good luck to everybody.
And shout your sister out, mate. She's in YouTube chat.
Nice. Excellent. Thanks, Kelly.
Take care.
There we go. Thanks very much, David, and hopefully we'll have you back again in a few weeks' time. Sean Riley wins, though, ahead of David Van Roy, and he joins us now as well. Welcome in, Sean. Good to have you with us. As I mentioned to David, it's been the first time that someone's actually come from behind like that in the final stint and overtaken David in this season so far. How was that last part of the race? Were you confident in your skills when you came out behind him?
I did feel pretty good about it, honestly. I think as we came towards the end of the race, I think I managed to hang on to a little more rubber on the tires than he did. And so I could tell, especially in the lower speed corners, that I think I had a little more grip than he did, and that paid off.
I mean, you led for most of the first part of the race as well. What was the strategy for that? And were you concerned he was saving loads of fuel and going to come out ahead of you?
I don't. He mentioned me paying off the guy that held him up in turn one.
Yeah, sorry.
Where I really need to spend my money is hiring away his pit crew. Because that was last week at Spa. That was the first time that it was really obvious, but then and started paying attention. And then this week, he just nails his pit stops, which isn't just setting the fuel right, but that's something a lot of people don't practice, is how to attack pit lane and then how to attack turn one coming out of pit lane. And David always gets that right. And so I kind of half expected that when I came around after he pitted, that it was still going to be a close race, but that we were going to switch positions, and that did turn out to be the case.
You're absolutely right. One final thing as well. You are now actually, well, you're not the championship leader, but you will be, because as David says, he's not going to be here for the final few rounds. So when he is sort of taken out of the standings, if you like, as naturally will happen, you will be just a point ahead of Josh Heron. Is that something you're really thinking about with 3 rounds to go here?
It's a very long season, and the short answer is no, not really. I'm glad that the season's off to a good start, and you definitely don't want to be overly aggressive, because the DNF really hurts compared to even just finishing midfield the way the points work out. But it was definitely worth it to try to hang on to P1 today.
Absolutely. Congratulations on that win here this afternoon, and thanks very much for coming to chat to us as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Looking forward to watching the race later.
Thanks very much. Sean Riley, the race winner tonight, this afternoon. God, I've done it again, here at Mugello. Just in third place was Bradley Lovings. Pretty quiet race, actually, from where we were sitting. But Brad, tell us about the race from your perspective. Was it quiet for you as well, or were you just pleased to have a bit of time alone there and finish on the podium in the end?
Yeah, for sure, man. I had a little incident last week at Spa. I was in P1, lost podium there, got a little damage. So I was just wanting podium today, man. On the start, the 2 guys behind me, Josh and Mike, they was going side by side at the start. I kind of jumped Josh, got in behind David, and kind of just took and ran with it, man. I was just trying to get as much behind me as I could, a gap between me and Josh. I know me and him's fairly close in pace.
Feels like we we've really got the season started now with this third round, and we've got 3 rounds back to back coming up again at the end of this part of the season anyway, before the 2-week break. The Zandvoort, Interlagos, Misano. But let's look back at the first few rounds for yourself. How would you look back on it and say that it's gone?
I mean, man, my goal going into these things, top 5 every week. So I got a P6 at Belle Isle, but other than that, I've kept my P5 streak going. So I'm just trying to get P5 every week, and hopefully at the end of 24 weeks, the consistency of just being up around podium or maybe possibly snagging a podium will, maybe put me P2, P3 into points.
Hopefully that can continue on. Congratulations on 3rd place. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Oh, for sure, man. You guys, the sponsors. I took the Porsche over to Ron Service. He hooked me up last night. He'll do anything to supercars, to, Purnell's mom's minivan, butt kicker. That thing's rumbling my bum as I'm going around the rumble strips. Sim Motion. I just ordered a new clutch pedal the other day off there. Free shipping with those guys. And Synco Custom PCs. He's got my PC working great, man. So all those 4 sponsors, I love having them around. We couldn't do it without them. Like I say, you guys, the wife, the guys in the Discord, just a nice time to be alive.
Fantastic. Congratulations on 3rd place here this afternoon, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Yeah, man. Bye.
Thanks very much. Bradley Loving's their 3rd place today in the race at Mugello.
That was a blinking long shout-out list from Brad there, wasn't it? You know what I mean? I thought it was like a Bradley Loving story time, bless him. But fair play for getting them all, Leon, and obviously much love to all the sponsors that have come out and joined us for this one as well. That was very exciting. I love that. I love the fact that Riley's now put himself, well, he's going to anyway, because Fenroy's not going to be here for 3 weeks. So we need Brad to kind of up his game and really go and get up the front now. Otherwise, Riley's just going to, surely the way it's looking at the moment on paper, Riley's just going to run away with it.
Well, you say that, but I thought Josh Herring looked good last week, especially at Spa. Whether that will return again or what, I don't know. But I thought Herring looked very strong and could really have challenged even Ben Roy, actually, last week, never mind Riley as well. So, it's certainly not over in Pro. In Pro-Am, we've got into today one of the closest championship situations I've ever seen after a couple of rounds, with only 1 point between 3 drivers. But as the guys have repeated, in fact, all 3 of them repeated, it is a long season, and we are fairly new to it. So, plenty of time to go, and plenty of racing still to come. A big thanks to everyone who has been tuned in to the OGRL Coffee Cup here this morning from Mugello. 3 more back-to-back races coming up here at or on the JPB YouTube channel. It's the Ryan Merriam pick coming up next, followed by the Mitchell Bowen pick. I'm not entirely sure how these people got picks, but anyway, they've picked Zandvoort. Merriam has picked Zandvoort for next week, and Bowen has picked Interlagos for the week after. And then the 90-minute race is at Misano, so that will be a slightly longer broadcast, of course, coming up in 3 weeks' time. So make sure you join us for that. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and give yourself a watch of some of the other broadcasting that goes on, the other races that go on through the week. For now, though, I've been Neil Leary alongside James Parfitt, and until we see you in a week's time for the next round of the Coffee Cup from Zandvoort, it's goodbye for now.
Cool.